Gotta adjust that. Hey everyone, Tom here at Our Pastime. It's too hot to do anything today except this little video that I want to put together. As you can hear behind the camera, there is a perfectly running Cub. Sounds perfect. Not a thing, doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with it, but according to many of you, there is something wrong. And I should be doing something different than what I'm doing to make it even better than it is. It's 96 degrees out today, so there's not a lot I want to be doing. I really don't even want to be running the Cub, but this is just a demonstration to prove to you that my method is working fine. Cub's running great. And let's turn the camera around, see if you can spot the issue that many of you say I should not be doing with this Cub. Again, this is Tom here at Our Pastime. Wouldn't mind if you come over to my YouTube channel, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the video if you think it's worth sharing. Let's turn the camera around and see if you can spot the issue. Yes, right there in the center, the issue is the carburetor. Now, many of you have told me that I should not be putting 2 gaskets on my carburetor. Well, the reason I have 2 gaskets is because my carburetor is severely warped. And 1 gasket was not enough. I could still see daylight through the top of the gasket. Over the top of that lower gasket. So I had to put 2 gaskets on. Yeah, the top of that carburetor is severely warped. Now, a lot of you said that the fix for this is to take a file and shave off a few thousandths off the top and the bottom. As you'll see in a little bit, that is just not possible in this case. So let's take it apart and I'll show you just how bad this warp issue is and why I chose to use 2 gaskets, and why not? Doesn't this Cub sound like it's running fine? I think it does. It's charging. Now let's shut her off. That's a little quieter. It's just too hot to run it today. I have a lot to do, but I'll turn the gas off. Oops, I think I'm turning it on more. Yep, there we go. Off. All right. Now, I think I just got to wait a few minutes for that to cool down. Yeah, so if if you didn't hear me over the engine noise, pretty sure you did. I've got 2 gaskets on there because the top of the carburetor is severely warped. I mean, it's really warped. I'm not sure exactly why it was cutting out before. I did take it apart, the carburetor apart, and completely clean it. There seemed to be a couple little obstructions. I took a little electrical wire and ran through all the jets and didn't see anything major clogging anything, but put 2 gaskets on, put it back together, and now it runs beautifully. And after I did that, I did do about an hour and a half worth of work with the grater set up underneath. Never even had the least amount of sputter. Had all kinds of power. And yeah, so I think I'm going to leave the 2 gaskets on there for now. But I was on a forum, and only one of the forums, the IH Farmall Cub or IH tractors or something. Farmall Cub, Farmall tractors repair or something. I can't remember what it is right now. I'll put it up on the screen. And everybody there was saying, oh, you should just take a file and shave off like couple thousandths off the top, and maybe even a couple thousandths off the bottom of the carburetor. And I'll show you. I don't think I can do that with this, because those gaskets barely make up the gap that this warped carburetor has in it now. So let's wait for this to cool down for a minute, and I'll take it apart, take it off, take the carburetor off, and show you just what's going on. You might even be amazed that it's even running as well as it is. Okay, so let's take this apart, and I'll show you the warpy warp. Okay, so we got the carburetor off. And as you can see, it's got two gaskets. You heard the cub, it was just running a second ago. So, loosen these screws. 1, 2. Okay. Gas is in there. Okay, the very first thing I like to do is to remove this, because this gets broken so easy if you don't. So easy to break one of those. And that's quite commonly, you know, I don't know if you can see. Let's see, how close can we? Okay, right there you can see how small that hole is, that little jet. So it doesn't take more than just a speck in your fuel to get through your fuel to clog that up, and that's quite common. That's quite a common problem when your cub isn't running right, is that gets clogged. So you take a little thin piece of wire and just run through the hole and clean out any crud that might get stuck in there. The other side is much larger. All right, so let's look and see just how warped my carburetor is. You may not believe it. Oops. Alright, so this is why I cannot file this carburetor. It is completely flat here, and there's no amount of filing that is going to fix this. I mean, this thing is very warped. If I put it flat on the other side, so this side is flat, it still lifts up on the ends here. I can still put, that's still right here, as flat as this can be on this side. I can still fit the width of a gasket there, or a little greater, hitting here. And this side, it's just, I don't believe it would take an awful lot of filing to get this to smooth out. So instead of doing that, I put the 2 gaskets in, and I mean, it depends on where you tighten it down from, where your biggest gap is here, but when I'm pushing down on different you can see it's very, very warped on top here. Suppose it's the least warped on the back, maybe? Well, even on the back. So that's why I'm putting 2 gaskets in, rather than filing down surfaces. You can see right here I started doing that, but right here, but there's just no amount of, because this part was a little high. I took a flat edge and I saw that this was a little high here. For the most part, this is flat. This bottom half is flat, but I've got a lot of warpage going on the top half. Too much to file. And if I start filing, it looks like I'll start getting down below. Like I would have to file down almost beyond, like over half of the width of the material that's there. And then you start to compromise the effectiveness of the carburetor itself. And then I don't know if that would allow enough room inside for this to be in the proper position once it feeds down this hole. Maybe, maybe not. So I'd have to do an awful lot of filing to get this to be completely level. So I'm letting the gaskets take the gap out instead of filing. And as you heard, the Cub doesn't mind. It runs perfectly. So, and the carburetor is perfectly clean, nice and clean. So let's put this back in. Put it back together. This is a brand new carburetor. Brand new gasket. This is the original. This is the gasket that came with the Cub when I bought it in 2014. until then I had never taken the carburetor apart. It had been working fine. So I don't know when the warp happened or if it happened before. If it's always been warped. I'm not sure. Alright. 2 halves back together. Carefully feed the pipe down the hole. All right. And that, my friends, is why I am not filing my carburetor surfaces. Oh, maybe I should show you why one gasket isn't enough. Let's do that. So my original plan was just to put a new gasket on it. And when I did that, this was the result. See, there's still quite a gap there. So basically all I did was raise the plane of the bottom part of the carburetor and just replicate the gap, the warpness there. So I decided I would close that gap by putting a second, the original gasket back in, and possibly if there'd been a leak before, maybe by tightening it down more, I could close up any gaps that might have occurred because of the old gasket. Oops, so let's put that back in the order I had it. Which was put the new one on the bottom and the old one on the top, because that's where the there we go. This is the way that I had it. Oops. Alright, now we just gotta move everything into the proper position so I can get the screws through the holes. There we go. Screw everything back together. Snug but not tight until we get ready to get everything in position. Get them all in snug, and then we'll tighten them. Evenly so I don't cause any more warpage. tight, but not over tight. All right, now we'll just put this back on the Cub, see if it'll start. I think it will. I also heard another part that tends to warp is the base of the very top of the carburetor here, but I checked mine and it's perfectly level, so I'm not too worried about that, as is the manifold, so pretty sure we're all set there. I did find out the easiest way to put everything in is upside down. So if you're hooking your choke and your governor up to your carburetor, this is the easiest way I've found to do it. Take your carburetor right off, turn it upside down, and then you can slip in those little cotter pins from behind a lot easier. So I put the choke in, as you saw right there. That was pretty easy. Then you just flip your carburetor up, and then you can get your governor rod inserted and stick your cotter pin in from the top before you hook it up, before you hook your carburetor in. That's a lot easier. It's almost like cheating. Just like that. My gasket for my carburetor. Got that. Put that back on. Ready to put the lock washers on the carburetor bolts. The studs. Nope. Take those on. Take those on. 7/16. Alright, come on. You can get right on there. There you go. Now it's taking now. Keep that nice and clean. Yeah, that's 100. That's only it. Alright. Gas line. Fuel. Two squeaks. All right. Let's see. Looks like we're doing all right. Let's turn the gas on, see if it even starts, all right? Reach right through here. Oops, right over here. Yep, I can. This is all uncut. Shaking the hands over here if you can't tell. Pull out the starter. Oops, needs a little gas in the thing. Sounds good. Even with a warped carburetor, 2 gaskets, running great. so I don't plan to file that down. All right. Let's turn off the gas. Gas is expensive nowadays. All right. So, is that recording? Yep. So, I hope you liked this little video. If you did, I hope you give me a thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. Leave a comment. I love the comments. Maybe you've had a similar situation where your Cub's not running all that well. It may be that you have a warped carburetor as well. Maybe the gasket has, isn't quite filling the gap between the two planes of the lower and the upper part of the carburetor any longer. And maybe filing would work in your case, or maybe 2 gaskets would be the solution, as it was in my case. Anyway, this is more of a response to a post that I had put on Farmall Cub Repair and Maintenance Help. It's a club on Facebook that I belong to, and a lot of people were saying that the best solution was just to file the warp out of the carburetor, but in my case that's just not possible. The Cub wasn't running well at first, and I think it was just someone had mentioned it in the forum as well, in the club as well, that I might have had a speck of dirt clogging one of the jets inside the carburetor, and that could have been the case. I didn't really specifically see anything when I cleaned it thoroughly. But after I put everything back together and put the 2 gaskets on, it ran as you heard it in this video. Perfect. I've run it and worked it hard for a good hour and a half, and it never even sputtered once. It worked like a brand new tractor pretty much, which is amazing for this almost 70-year-old tractor at this point. So anyway, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you on the next video coming soon, and you'll see why it's important that this tractor is running well and all the work that it's been doing. So appreciate you, and we'll catch you again real soon. Bye bye.